So it's been a while since my last video because of the global pandemic and so on. I shot all this back in really early February before coronavirus was a huge deal and lockdown and so on. So don't worry, I haven't just done a mad one and broken lockdown and gone on a trip to London. I really hope everyone's staying safe and sane in these really weird times, and that this might be some sort of escapism or maybe inspiration for like a post-lockdown shoot to look forward to. I went to London back in early February primarily because it was my friend's birthday, but also I found this place on an article called 19 of the best places to cry in London, and it just looked like a very me place to shoot and really interesting, and I'd never really known it was there. The big moon just replied to my video of a cover that I did the other day. Anyway, I want the underlying theme of this video to be sort of what I perceive to be the difference between taking a good photo of someone and taking a good portrait of someone. I know it's just a word, but to me I think it's really, really important. So to me, a portrait is like a snapshot into someone, I guess someone's personality. I think it's really important to like be able to tell part of this story from it, or who they are as a person. Choosing the right setting for your subject and really getting to know them as well is a really, really important part of taking a portrait. And I think it's really overlooked these days. I guess our way of living is so instant and so fast paced with camera phones and like instant printers now and stuff. And like even the sort of photography movement on TikTok and stuff, you've got like 6 seconds or whatever. People are trying to cram as much content as possible, and I don't really think that's the point of taking a photo, like a portrait. I personally would much rather look at a portrait someone's taken where they've really taken the time to connect with their subject and to see them for who they really are, rather than like a photo that's technically brilliant or has got loads of flashy sort of effects or whatever. But that's just me. I mean, everyone's different. I don't know, I've had it throughout the whole time I've been shooting. Just people like quizzing you on technical stuff that really doesn't matter, really. They're just trying to catch you out or show that they know more than you, or show that they know more about you technically. It's just so stupid. I just don't know what happened to sort of really getting to know someone and trying to capture that in a frame. Apart from like the bus fare there, which I shop around and get a good deal anyway, like Snap Bus is really good, and obviously Megabus and National Express are so much cheaper than the train. I still had money left on my Oyster from the last time I went up, so you don't need like tons of money or a really high concept idea or loads of kit or loads of access to somewhere. There's so many free places you can shoot, and you can make into something different or make into your own sort of spin on it. I know I personally can't wait to get out of lockdown and start shooting again. I find it so therapeutic and it's something that makes me really happy. But maybe it's a really good opportunity to like have a think about who you want to shoot and where and why you want to shoot them in that way. So maybe post lockdown you could go out and do that. So I got the train to Newport and then the bus to London. I actually edited loads of wedding photos from my mum and stepdad's wedding back in December, like late December. I've been getting to sort of grips with Lightroom because I've just always used Photoshop, so a good couple of hours to do that. Obviously listened to a ton of music. Django have got like a relatively new album out, which is all synthy, and it was also Dydd Music Cymru, so Welsh Music Day. And a band called Adwaith had a really cool cover of like a Welsh folk song out called Adlan y Môr. Boys Yuga, Ezra Furman, Fontaine CC, Bandicoot, Marika Hackman. Tiz and Dee live in Shadwell, so it's north of the river and quite central, so it didn't take me half as long to get to them as it used to take me to get to them from Victoria to New Cross. Hadn't seen each other for a while, so just had some cans, talked shit. Ordered those like really crap veggie burgers you get from chip shops and watched the Mitchell and Webb look. Woke up the next day, they've got a balcony which is really nice just to look out over, and the sun was sort of streaming in. It was funny weather, it was like warm but not like hot, so it was like perfect just to to walk around in like a shirt, didn't need a jacket or anything. We were terrible people and got completely sidetracked by pints and pizza and spoons. And when we actually googled like the opening times for the St-Dustan-in-the-East, it said it shut at 4, so we kind of took our sweet time and then thought we'll just call in there sort of on our way home and to see whether we can shoot tomorrow and what it's like. And it was actually still open. I have no idea why the opening times were like that online, which was great because it meant we could do it that day, but also we were losing light really quickly. This was around 4 o'clock, so knew we only had like half an hour, 40 minutes maximum. It's also really built up around there, like you really wouldn't know it was there unless you were looking for it, which is really cool, but it also meant there were loads of buildings blocking even more of the light, so we were losing it really quickly. But it was such a beautiful place, tranquil, just a really nice sort of like haven of quiet right in the middle of London. Like I said, when I take portraits, I like to watch the person for a little bit to see how they interact with the space and what it brings out on them and the relationship they sort of make with it. I was lucky in this case that the subject was my best friend of 23 years, so I knew them pretty well. And then I had to sort of figure out what I wanted to communicate in the portrait. My friend moved to London for uni in 2018, and since they've done that, they've completely come out of themselves. They've like grown into the person that they're clearly meant to be and to seem way more at ease with themselves. So I wanted there to be a sort of ease and familiarity in the photo, as well as just showing them being completely relaxed in this new place. St-Dustan-in-the-East, it's a church that was sort of partially bombed out in World War II. And now it's a public garden, so it's a lot of like concrete and like jungly plants and stuff. Where we live at home, we live on literally the same street. There's a lot of nature, it's really green, it's quite rural, and places like that are really far and few between in London, and I know that my friend misses that. Like the perfect background and setting for these portraits, because the sort of plants and stuff were like at home, but the concrete and the structures and shapes was like London. After that we went bar hopping, I guess you'd call it. We went to Nikki's bar in Shoreditch, which was like all sort of neon and Nightmare Ex-Girlfriend kind of themed bar, which was cool. Got a free drink there and they played the Talking Heads, so I was happy. And then downstairs we were going to go to, there's a bar underneath that's like linked with it called Tonight Josephine's, which we didn't stay there for that long because it was a Saturday night and really loud and just not my vibe really. I'm sure it's great, but it just wasn't for me. And then there was another one we went to which we only had one drink at, but it was probably the best drink I've ever had, called Bedlam Bar. I think it used to be called Budgie Bar, and it was all like, you wouldn't know it was there. It was all like exposed walls and like kind of like really understated, like minimalisty. I think the drink I had was rye whiskey with maple and rosemary soda, and it was amazing. And then Dee had it's like a little like teapot of mulled cider with spiced rum and absinthe, and it was insane. Would recommend. On day 3 we planned to go to look at the Barbican, which is one of my favourite buildings ever, and maybe the Tate Modern, but unfortunately Storm Dennis had other plans, and that was actually the day under the force of the wind that the glass at Euston Station shattered, so we figured we'd just stay in. Ordered sushi, set up a little like editing station, just spent ages editing, which was nice and cosy in the flat. I've picked 4 edits I did. I completely forgot to film myself editing again, sorry, maybe I'll do that in the next one. But I will put actually the originals next to it so you can see how much I had to do and sort of compensate for the light. I've been trying to think more about presentation recently, and sort of layout and stuff, so I found these really cool Kodak sort of template things that make it look like you've taken it on film when you haven't. I will actually link those in the descriptions because I didn't make those. I picked the 2 sort of portraits similar, but like the eyeliner was different, just to tie it all together. I don't know, I think it gives it like a Vice ID article sort of interview feel to it. I don't know, I really like it. The colours in these, I think the yellow was really prominent in one of the plants, so I sort of made that more muted colour and then brightened it a hell of a lot because it's quite dark at that point. Yeah, I tried to use the lines as much as possible, so the lines of the steps and then the lines and the pillars in the window and stuff. and I liked the contrast between Dee sat small in the corner and then the sort of sweeping arch and stuff. Just watched for a bit and saw Dee immediately went and climbed in that window, so I thought, yeah, there we go, perfect first shot. The shot 2, I actually took this photo on an iPhone as well and on my film camera. I'll put those side by side so you can see what I did with the different ones. This was sort of inspired, I think, I couldn't find it anywhere, but I swear there was like an iPhone advert for the newest one where people were like jumping over the camera and stuff and their feet were really big and obviously their faces were small in it. And I like that dynamic. Gives it like a really street style sort of like feel. There was also a Lazy Oaf campaign, I don't know whether it was with Doc Martens or not, that was quite similar as well, with the sort of perspective way sort of reversed with the feet in the head. This is just such a natural pose, sort of their leg hanging in and just leaning on their hand a little bit. Gives a sense of ease in the photo and that they're comfortable and relaxed and stuff. Edit 3 I guess was like emo sort of early noughties, I guess, album cover. I mentioned in my last video I was looking for this like purple pigment film, which I just couldn't afford at the moment, so I did it in Photoshop. I think that was one of the last photos I took and it was super dark and I wanted some sort of colour to brighten it without sort of having to like whack up the exposure. But I think the purple actually worked quite well to sort of brighten up the photo without drawing attention to how much noise was in it actually. Edit 4 I think is my favourite photo from the shoot. I think it really like encapsulated everything I was trying to show. With Dee being quite small in it compared to the expansiveness of their surroundings. Because even though they've got a really casual pose, it kind of, I wanted to show the sort of dynamic between being one person in like a really big city, but also somewhere that's so creative and such a melting pot of different people that you can feel really comfortable there and completely yourself. That was a pretty hard effect to get though, because I had to stand literally on a wall with all my stuff like balanced in front of me, sort of get the angle to show as much of the background and surrounding as possible. But it was really fun and I really liked the outcome of it. Yeah, that's the one that sums up the whole shoot for me and really showed a snapshot of who Dee is in that moment and that space. Day 4 was much of the same again. It absolutely threw it down. It was so windy and to be honest I was really hungover. Very much regret now having been locked inside for like 37 days I think. Definitely regret not doing more, not forcing myself out of bed and drinking way too much Morgan Spice, but I'll definitely appreciate that once we're allowed outside again, I guess. So yeah, that was my sort of mini break to London. I do have another video that I've shot in lockdown, but it doesn't feel long enough to stand on its own. It's sort of how to make a DIY studio in your garden and what you can do with that. But it doesn't feel long enough, like I said. So what I might do is come up with another idea and then put 2 in 1, so it's like 2 ideas to do in lockdown. But anyway, thanks for watching and stay safe.